I hope we'll be welcoming the art and or science reading group back into the room as well. And I might ask them if they'd like feedback on what they've been up to, because it looked like they were looking at some really interesting, they're coming back in now, they're filing back in some an interesting text and video as well. So would anybody from welcome back everyone, would anyone from the art and or science reading group like to recap on what they talked about? If you would,
Hi,
then
it's Stephen here. Maybe Ellie might want to say something. I'll just speak for a minute while she can compose some thoughts, because we had 2-hour discussion and it was just such a stimulating discussion. Really lovely points made. And also, I sort of became aware halfway through that we were using the chat, and that might be everyone could see the chat. So just apologies for that if whilst you've been doing other stuff we can get in all of our discussion, but actually there's some really cool links in there, so if you want to kind of like abridged version of what we've been talking about, or slightly kind of interesting, like dipping into some of the things we've been talking about, click on some of those links and you'll find some really cool stuff. Ellie, would you like to say anything?
Sure. So firstly, I'd like to just say thanks to everyone who came to the reading group. We had a wonderful time. I certainly got a lot out of it, having already read and watched the video prior to the session. I got loads out of the discussion. So we had 2 pieces that were about, we kind of took this theme of like alternative art education that's happening across this festival. And used it to think a little bit about what does education look like, what does learning look like, what does it look like to think about science, to think about doing art. So we had a video called Loop, and we had a text about science fiction. It was called Science/Fiction, and it was about whether learning styles are a real thing, or if they are something that we're like are fictionalized. But it was really interesting. I think one thing I will take with me that a number of people raised at the end was about the limits of models, and how models can be really useful if they are detailed enough, but there's this like really difficult boundary between things being detailed enough that you can get something out of them, but not so simple that you lose the nuance in the detail. We had lots of really wonderful discussions about the ways that this happens in scientific illustration, scientific representation, thinking about science, engaging with science topics, and yeah, it was just really interesting for me to think through some of those ideas as well. So yeah, thanks to everyone who came to our reading group. If you're interested, as we said at the end, if you didn't make it to our reading group because you were in the other session, we run a reading group outside of the Festival of Alternative Art Education, to which you are all warmly invited. You can search our art and or science reading group on Google and find us there. So yeah, thank you so much.
thanks Ellie, thanks Stephen. Stephen, you suggested that we might have been privy to your chat box. Unfortunately, we weren't. So if there are any cool links that you'd like to post in the chat now, we'd really love to see them. And anybody who is in the art and or science reading group and you missed our Genetic Moo makings, then Genetic Moo have suggested you head onto their YouTube channel, and there you can watch what we did together over the past couple of hours. Thanks everyone so much. Really good.
Thank you for having us.
Yay, thank you for coming. Big up to, oh, Nick, it's you again. Mold inspiring supercomputers. Is that a like, I'm not sure if that is a pun, but thank you very much for that comment anyway.